Okay. I I'm still reading Malazan, which means I don't have any new books to talk about. But that's fine. So it got me thinking. I don't I'm not the biggest fan of Malazan, or at least I wasn't when it started. But that got me thinking, what is the book that I'm the smallest fan of? The book I hated the most, the worst book I in all of my years of booking have ever read. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the book is called. I'm not even going to tell you who wrote it. I'm not going to show it on screen. I have it right next to me, but I'm not going to hold it up because I'd like to say that when I make these videos, it is to promote good things, and talk about why certain things are nice or fun or, like why you should enjoy a thing and not hating on stuff. Which is why I'm not going to spend my time telling you what the book is called or dragging this author through the mud or anything. I just want to talk about why personally I felt the book didn't work, and I guess more than that, just what makes a bad book for an individual. Obviously your own taste plays a big part in what is bad book and what is good book to you. But let's just get into this specific book. Now, before we get started, I'm almost positive this is a self-published book, so I can't exactly sit here and be like, oh my gosh, But there's also like, I don't know, a ridiculous amount, like 8 of these books in the series, and I couldn't even finish the first one. So obviously, maybe people are buying them. I don't know. But little quick rundown of the plot. There's a girl who is being extremely bullied at high school. Then a transfer student comes in, and because the transfer student doesn't know all this backstory with this girl, they become friends. And then you learn about the girl's backstory, and you realize, like, wow, maybe she actually did deserve to get bullied. But I don't even remember. It's been so long, and I checked out pretty quick. It's either her or the transfer student. One of them like accidentally pushes one of the bully girls off the stair, like down the stairs, and kills her. And then the girl that had been bullied this whole time is like, well, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? So she goes and kills the other one, and assumedly she kills more people. I don't know. Like I said, I I did not finish it. I got maybe like two thirds of the way done before I realized, like, wow, there is not a single good person in this book. And that to me was the main problem, is that in this book, this cast of characters, not a single one of them is a good, likable person in any stretch, in any sense of the word. Not a single one of them has any redeeming quality or factor that I would say, like, oh, that's pretty cool of you. Like, I guess the nicest thing you could say about any of these characters is that the transfer student girl decides to be nice and make friends with a girl who is very obviously being bullied and ostracized, but very quickly you realize that transfer student girl is her own big can of worms and she has her own problems. But like, just to go down the list of all these characters essentially and tell you, like, what their what their big issue is. So we've got main girl. She's bullied. You want to know why she's bullied? Because I'm not going to say the word, not that I'm getting advertising, but she did an inappropriate touchy to one of her bully's younger sisters, because she's a lesbian and they live in a small town where there's, not a lot of lesbians. So it was just a kiss, but she claims it was, mutual, but the older sister claims no, it was not mutual. You forced yourself on her. Blah blah blah. Transfer girl. Like I said, when you first start, it's like, oh, she seems normal. She seems like the nicest one. She's giving this socially ostracized freak a chance, but to get socially ostracized freak to stop killing people, she's like, hey, I'll date you, because guess what? I'm a lesbian too. She's not a lesbian. But she essentially emotionally manipulates this girl that's very obviously like close to the breaking point to begin with, and has actually gone past the breaking point at this point, considering she's beaten somebody to death. But by saying like, yeah, I'm a lesbian too, and we can be a couple, and we can date and kiss and have sex as long as you don't kill anyone else, pretty please. It's dumb. Main bully's grandparents are both, I mean, the grandma's fine, but she's a total wet blanket to the grandpa that's just like this horrible, mean old man that's like, you got to do all of these chores. Every chore in the house, you got to do the chores. And essentially, she does chores from like the second she gets home to like, I don't know, like 7 p.m. or something ridiculously late to where she has no time to study for school. Whatever. The two bullies are obviously two bullies, and they bully a girl to the point that she not only considers, but legitimately goes through with killing them. So, not a good look. And then there's also some guy who has a thing for bullied girl, and he's like, yeah, what if we like dated? I understand your soul. But multiple times she has told him like, no, I'm not interested in you romantically, fuck off. And he essentially just keeps pursuing her like a creepy creeperson. I can't remember if there's any other characters. I don't think there is. I mean, there's teachers and stuff, but they are so inconsequential to the story, other than playing their bit parts as teachers. But so that's the thing, right? Sure, some of those characters, like I said, like Transfer Girl gives, girl a chance. And like, yeah, grandma's a fine, nice person, and there's nothing wrong with being a wet blanket, especially if your husband is an angry old man who probably lived through World War II. But like, nobody in this book was I excited to see on screen. Everybody was such a downer. They like sucked all the joy out of me anytime I saw somebody. Just not good. And who knows? Maybe the other 7, 9, 10 books are better, but I'm not reading them because this first one left such a bad impression on me. And I've never really, there are definitely books I've read that I've been like, okay, this writing style isn't for me, so I'm just going to drop it and move on to something I actually like. But this is probably the single book I've picked up and read that I've just legitimately been like, this is miserable. I can see no positive qualities in this, which is almost amazing. Even like something that I personally didn't like Wuthering Heights, which I just want to give a second chance. Like Wuthering Heights is just depressing and moody, but like that's kind of the point, which you could argue, yeah, the point is, all these characters are horrible, but there's something about the way Wuthering Heights is written, which, while I didn't like, makes it a little more palatable, I guess. I don't know. We're already beginning to talk in circles, but I guess what I'm saying is nothing. I'm saying nothing. I just wanted to talk about a book I didn't like while at the same time tiptoeing around the issue of what the book was actually called, because I don't want to be the guy that's like, look at this book, it sucks, stinky, bad. But yeah, books come in all shapes and sizes, and not everybody's going to like every book, obviously. There's some people that only read smut. There's some people that only read D&D manuals or cookbooks, aka they don't read for fun. And that's fine. But I also think the reverse is true, that no matter what, there is always going to be at least one book that you enjoy, and you need to find, don't need, but it would be pretty cool if you found that book, because the first time you find the book, then maybe you'll find more books. You can find other books that are like the book that made you book so good in the first place. That's it. We're done here. If you listen to this whole thing, what's wrong with you? Probably the same thing that's wrong with me. Books.